thin line between what is said and what is non-said, and it is the duty of the regulator to come in the public domain and to correct that. In fact, I strongly believe that it is the duty of the individual and the people, those who are in this profession, should come forward and explain. As you know that Treasury Consulting is entering into the business of arbitration, and I assure you that in the next 3 months we would have a lot of videos about arbitration. But I strongly feel that appointment of an arbitrator is the most contentious topic which we are having across the globe. Different sections of different countries speaks or have their versions in that regards. So example, if I speak from a strictly India and Singaporean angle, in India we call this section 11, which talks about the appointment of the auditor as per Indian Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. We have in Singapore as well. According to the Indian guidelines, anyone can be an arbitrator. And there are multiple guidelines, so you know that I'm not a bookish person, so I'm not going to be reading. If I want, I can have a book, by the way, but I'm not going to be reading the book wherein I'm going to be saying section, subsection, section, subsection and all that. It's a waste of time. You can open Google and there are a lot of articles which is being written in that regards. What I wanted to say is that arbitration, and first of all, let me take an indemnification, because the purpose of this video is definitely not to demean any institution, but as you know that we are an upfront person, an upfront company, and we really not worried about challenging the status quo. So we are taking no responsibility in case you feel hurt, because it is because you did these things so you feel hurt. We have multiple bodies. If we strictly speak from an Indian angle, we have multiple bodies in India and multiple bodies in Singapore. Those who those who have the responsibility of managing the regulations. So example, speaking from an Indian angle, you have Reserve Bank of India, you have Security and Exchange Board of India, you have FMC, you have multiple authorities. You have multiple authorities. On the name, we have Companies Act, we have the ICDR by SEBI, we have the Banking Manual, we have the Banking Act in India, the Corruption Act, and there are humongous amount of acts. So India is never short of legislation, that is the fact. Singapore also have their own regulatory bodies like Monetary Authority of Singapore, Economic Development Board, you have the Parliament, you have the multiple bodies which you have. Apparently speaking, Singapore and India is more or less same when it comes to the regulation. For everything you have a body, and for everything you are having a regulation. But till what extent these regulations are pertinent and practical in nature, that is something which we need to decide and agree. Because having a regulation is definitely not making any sense, but that regulation has to be pertinent in the nature so that people can make an inference out of it, or life can be realistically very easy. Let me give you an example and start from India, then slowly we'll move to Singapore in that regards. When we start about India, anyone can be an arbitrator, and if you open that, we have Indian Council of Arbitration, we have 2 or 3 such bodies, those who are apparently speaking managing arbitration in India. Similarly, in Singapore, we have SIAC, Singapore International Arbitration Center, we have Law Society of Singapore, and we have 2 or 3 such societies, those who are managing that show for Singapore. But I feel that one important thing which is missing in both the countries, and by the way, Singapore is a leading arbitration hub we have across the globe. There is no doubt about that. But having said that, the mistakes we have in Singapore also, with due respect, no offense to any country. Number one, not anyone can be an arbitrator. Like in Singapore, even a non-Singaporean national can be an arbitrator. This is the only rule where I agree to it. Because arbitration skills should not be restricted to a nationality. So if I'm not a Singaporean, I cannot be act as an arbitrator. This is not done, right? So similarly is the case in India. Any national can be an arbitrator. So if you have a British national, you can be an arbitrator. By the way, before moving forward, I practically do not know whether you understand or not. There are three models of arbitration. First model of arbitration is a direct arbitrator, when a big guy, which is state versus an institute. So when a state, or no, sorry, not state versus institute, when it is judiciary versus a big industry, which means that industry is fighting a case, and rather than industry fight, and there are some issues, so industry appoints an arbitrator. One is two arbitrator policy, that you have one party here, one party here, both the parties have an arbitrator, they are arguing with each other and they are reaching to a common ground of understanding. Everyone know till what extent they can reach to common ground of understanding, that is always on the table. Third is a triangular formation, whereby two arbitrators jointly decide the third arbitrator. So third arbitrator will take up a call rather than judiciary. Third arbitrator will take up a call that who is right, and to me it is the most idiotic thing we have, to be honest. This triangle policy, this triangle formation of arbitration, I call it triangle formation of arbitration. This is height of stupidity. But anyways, let's go one by one. I will put this hold here. There are two kind of people when it comes to section 11, and similarly in case in Singapore. Number one kind of people is that those who believe that anyone can be an arbitrator. I'm not from this group. Definitely I'm not from this group. I strongly feel that not everyone can be an arbitrator. There should be written guidelines that you can be an arbitrator. Example, can I be a doctor? No, I cannot. Can I be a pilot? I cannot. Can I be an accountant? I cannot. Even I'm MBA, Masters in Business Administration. Even Masters in Business Administration cannot be an accountant. You need a degree for that, which is given by different institutes, just like CPA. American Institute of CPA, you have Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, and we have multiple bodies worldwide who give such kind of degrees. And there are various jurisdictions which are assigned where this degree is applicable and where this degree is not applicable. Although, having said that, I have an indemnification in that as well, but I will answer later. So we have two set of people. Number one, those who believe that anyone can be arbitrator. Definitely I'm not from that. Number two, those who believe that not everyone can be arbitrator. There should be written guidelines to that. This part, not everyone can be an arbitrator, we further divide into two parts. Number one, which includes the people, or the people, those who from that industry, the lawyers, that not everyone can be arbitrators. They have their own ubiquitous interest, with due respect. In English, the meaning of ubiquitous means hidden. They are having their ubiquitous interest, which means that they always want the people with the law degree can be an act as an arbitrator. Now another is the judiciary in this part. Judiciary feels that there should be a council or come an institute or come a body who manages the arbitration in that country. They basically act as a custodian of the arbitrators. Simplistically in finance words, they can act as a custodian of arbitrators. So example, if you wanted to raise any voice in India, you have bodies like ASSOCHAM, Association of Chamber of Commerce, FICCI, you have NASSCOM, and you have multiple trade bodies who raise their voice to the government. That's a different thing. Till what extent government heard this voice, that's a completely different thing. Similarly, we have multiple bodies in Singapore, just like Economic Development Board, you have NICE, you have multiple bodies, those who interacts with the government and they pass the feedback to the government. Till what extent these bodies are also conducive, that is always a question. And especially after the fact that when two loss-making companies, right, which is Grab and CE, they being asked to join the Economic Development Board. So till what extent these bodies are conducive, at least a question to me now. I don't know till what extent that's not a question for you, to be honest. Even though we both love Singapore, right? I feel that this body who feels that not everyone can be an arbitrator is right. But having said that, this body needs to agree on one thing. Number one, Arbitration should not be end up as a degree course. So let me name few institute, right? Institute of Chartered Accountant of India claims that they are the second largest accounting body in the globe. According to limited public statistics, around 284,000 people, are directly, working either in industry or in the practice, which is known as COP, Certificate of Practice, as the chartered accountant or within India or outside India. Now, if you look at holistically, then Institute of Chartered Accountant of India is the second largest accounting body of the globe. But if you look at the course structure of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, to move a single chapter, because I'm a faculty there, to move a single chapter, you need a council meeting. This council meeting, then you have a minutes of meeting. Then it will go to the final council. Sorry, first you have committee meeting, then minutes of meeting, then it will go to council, then it will go to parliament, and then it will get approved. Few cases can approve at the council level also, or at the central council member also, shortly known as CCM, right? Can we make a similar body like arbitration? It would be a mess of. It would seriously be a mess of. And the example is ICA, Indian Council of Arbitration. Another, we have degree courses like CFA. Is that Chartered Financial Analyst or Certified Financial Analyst? You will take a call. Because my definition of CFA is Certified Financial Analyst. Many people are asking me, why do you call it certified? I explain number of times in my videos. One is CFA, one is FRM, Faltu Risk Management, one is GARP and all. Are these degree courses covering what they're supposed to cover? Are they covering the facts for what they are made for? Are they covering the research? How many research reports CFA puts in public domain every week? How many webinars they conduct every week? How many regulations CFA challenged every week? And forget GARP and all these degrees. And then comes AICPA, American Institute of CPA. They consider to be best, but practically they are not. So the question ends up here that an arbitrator definitely cannot be every person, because arbitration is a very professionally skill set job. Example, I can be an arbitrator in financial market. You take this foreign exchange, trade finance, trade platforms. You take any instrument and I can act as an arbitration. And I did also. And now we are setting up a full-fledged arbitration desk in Singapore and London soon. Alternatively, if I make arbitration as a degree course, then I end up as Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. I end up as CFA, GARP and all these courses, whereby what happen, people take degrees but they have no knowledge. Example, Companies Act made or legalized a course which is known as corporate valuer. Around thousands of chartered accountants in India did that course, and almost every week this course is going in some parts of the country, and many hundred people come in the public and do this course. But if you look at the course which is there in the public domain under this category, you will feel that not even 1 by 1 million of this course, 1 by 1 million of valuation is being taught. Only a holistic, even this course do not cover the holistic look of the valuation. Example, cryptocurrency. What would if there is a dispute between an exchange and a person who invested in that exchange in cryptocurrency? Can I have one arbitration course which covers in and out of the cryptocurrency? What would if I make this complicate? I say that what would if that is not an exchange, it is a digital asset platform. What would I make it more complicated and say that it is not a digital asset platform, it is a digital asset exchange. And what would I make it more complicated? I said this at digital exchange, multi-asset digital exchange. Then in that scenario, just assume that can anyone be an arbitrator? No, definitely not. Do we have any institute which cover these things in arbitration? Why do you look at me? Just open the Google and check SIAC, Singapore International Arbitration Center, and Law Society of Singapore, and just check it out. Even these societies, they are not covering that. Don't trust me, just look at that. SIAC, Singapore International Arbitration Center, and the Law Society of Singapore. Forget ICA. The moral of the story is very clear. We need to sit together, and more importantly, with due respect to every judiciary of every globe, including Indian judiciary and Singaporean judiciary, I feel that judiciary should not be involved as far as the appointment of arbitration is concerned. Having said that, at section 11, at various places it is being said that, I am not repeating, that if this do not happen, then judiciary will come into the picture. If this do not happen, then judiciary will come into the picture. I strongly feel that judiciary should not come into the picture as far as the appointment of arbitrator is concerned. The reason is very clear. With due respect to judiciary, that judiciary is not capable enough to hold the functionally competent stuff. They might be good in their legal terms because of their experience. So example, with due respect, any person who works in any level of judiciary in India or Singapore, can he come on the board and explain how digital asset platform works? How the SWIFT control works? How the trade platform works? How the 48 different sections in a SWIFT message works? He cannot. He cannot. So, to summarize this video, I strongly feel that there are two factions of arbitration. Number one, a faction on my left hand side who feels that anyone can be an arbitrator. I definitely do not support that. Anyone cannot be an arbitrator. Number two, who feels that we should have some guidelines for arbitration. I feel I absolutely in sync with them. We should have some guidelines. But having said that, these guidelines should not end up just like Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. On paper, you are the second largest accounting body, but practically you are doing nothing. Just like American Institute of CPA. On paper, you are doing great, but practically if I look at your course, you are doing nothing. CFA, Certified Financial Analyst, nothing is being taught but is relevant today. FRM, GARP, and various set degrees. And more importantly, we should have one global institute of arbitration who would be covering a course on a global level. Having said that, they can only be coming to the picture according to my way if they will change the course according to the market requirement. It should not happen that they make as an institute but eventually they end up as a body who earns money. With this, we thank you very much. This is our vision of arbitration when it comes to India and Singapore. We strongly feel that the arbitration in India and Singapore is more or less, if I'm not saying same, our Singapore arbitration is little better than India. But there are multiple fronts where Singapore arbitration is even not good. There are multiple flawed strategies we have in Singapore arbitration. Having said that, we feel that too much involvement of judiciary in India when it comes to arbitration is definitely not conducive. Here Singapore leads the show. With this, we thank you very much. You know my both mobile numbers, which is +91 9899242978. You know my alternate number 9818 485 155. I repeat, 9899242978. 9818485155. You know our fixed income platform, www.fixedincome.global. More videos on the arbitration on cards. Have a great time.